So thank you all so much for coming. We are doing Game Room 101, and we have got the finest of British board game media content creators that were in the room at the time. Yeah, so they're going to come and tell us something that they think should be banned from gaming generally, and go into Room 101, and they'll never get it back. The very professional Room 101 that I spent weeks and weeks and weeks on. So I'll let them all introduce themselves, and then they're going to kick off. Please do feel free to boo them and jeer them, throw stuff at them. Not your air cup.
Especially Mike.
Might knock them out, and they're quite valuable. Great. So do you guys want to just go down the line, I suppose, and shoot? There's another mic there that'll work as well.
Hi, I'm Rob, and I do a podcast called Cult of the New.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm one of 3 people from Polyhedron Collider. We do reviews and podcast.
And I'm Paul Grogan. I run Gaming Rules, which does how to play videos, rule books. I work full time in the games industry. I used to do a podcast, but it's on hold.
I'm from the Who Dares Rules podcast, one of them, the important one.
I'm Michael May. I'm from Toucan Play That Game, the YouTube channel, doing all sorts of videos about board games.
And I'm Luke Hector from Broken People blog, podcast, and soon back on YouTube. Cycle Tech.
Who's going first then?
It's not that. As you got the mic.
No.
Oh, here he goes.
Left to right from your audience. In the middle. Oh, full time is first.
Yeah.
Well, you start grab the mic.
Ask the audience.
Actually, yeah, why not?
As you got the mic.
Okay.
Roll the dice.
So if I'm starting, we're going to start with the biggest one.
Yeah.
It's the one that nobody can disagree with. There's one constant that's annoying in every single game that we play, and that is other people. So I would put people in Room 101. I've got 9 types of people that I want to get rid of. I'm going to go through these.
1, 2, 3.
So the first one's people who don't set up their own play area. Games like Terra Mystica, games like Eclipse, we've got a little board to set up, because then they do it while you're explaining the game, and they're not listening to you explain the game. Just no. During teaching, this is my least favourite thing, when you teach a game when people are asking questions about bits you haven't got to yet. What about this? What about these? What do these do? Just listen, please. People who've decided after hearing 3 or 4 lines of the rules that they've already broke the game and know how to win. I hate that so much.
It's good proving them wrong, though.
It is good proving them wrong. Yeah, Mythotopia is the biggest one for that. You know, with there's an action you can take to win the game. Right. And people feel that they can take that as the first action in the game.
Sounds good.
Yeah, moody people. Yeah. So I played a game of Alchemist the other day. This actually happened. He is a person who needs to be told exactly what to do every single turn. And because it's hidden information and you're placing cubes to take actions, we couldn't tell him exactly what to do. He picked them up, dropped them on the board, and said, that's my actions for this turn.
Seems childish.
He's on the list. The list of the excuse maker, they can go in. The slow player, I'm not talking about analysis paralysis, I'm talking about the people who play slow. People aren't ready, who aren't expecting their turn for some reason. How do you not know it's your turn when you're going clockwise for the last hour?
The 4 of us just played Viticulture upstairs.
Playing on the phone.
Yeah, the more distractions.
The boring person, the person who looks at all the dice, works out the dice rolls, explains the mathematics, and has a system. We played a game of Zolkin the other day. Somebody had used a system they'd picked up off the internet, a guide.
Small gambit?
I don't know. All their turns took ages, it was so boring. I hate him. He's on the list as well. And then the end game, the 2 people at the end game, there's the I won, I lost guy, who they win their games, or they lost their games. You didn't beat them, they lost, it was their fault. And then there's a guy, this is bro, I don't know if anyone can do this, because there's 5 of you here, there's quite a few of you here, there's 300 people here for the camera. I've only been playing board games for about 4 or 5 years. I'm like, how do you do this? When a game is finished, and I turn around to pick up the box, and I put it on the table, how does everyone disappear when it's time to put the game away? I don't understand how people can do that.
It's easy, just sweep it off into the box.
Yes, now I have baggies for everything.
Yes.
They're the 9 people. People should all go in there, because people are the worst.
Very good.
Do we get to vote now?
Well,
Are we
no.
voting?
Where were you meeting all these people? All of them?
Nottingham.
Should we just present our case and then come back to the voting? Okay. Mine should be fairly uncontroversial, I hope, although it might ruin one person's career, not too far from on my left, is rubbish rulebooks. Bad rulebooks should just be banned completely because, obviously, that in itself is a bad thing, but it can really put somebody off a game. You make a game, you should make a good rulebook so that you can entice somebody into the game. I have a couple of reasonable recent Kickstarters as examples, Martians, which has, I think, categorically the worst rulebook I've ever encountered. It's taken me 6 read-throughs of it, 2 discussions on the Facebook group, and 7 playthroughs of the game. And I think we've now got the rules right. Even the last play we had on Tuesday night, our recent board game group, we still got one of the rules wrong. Thankfully, our guy Simon was like, hang on a minute, Andy, what about these tokens here? What does that mean? That makes a lot more sense now. So yeah, simply that, bad rule books, because they need to be organised, structured, iconography is very important, make things easy to find, have a content, that's quite helpful, and then explain what all the stuff in the game does. It doesn't seem too hard. There you go. Make a nice rule book, please.
I notice you've brought a rule book with you.
Maybe. It may be an example.
It may be an example. So one thing I wanted to talk about, I had quite a difficulty coming up with an idea. I was the first person on the spreadsheet, and I left it blank thinking, I'll fill this in later. And then somebody put something, oh, that's a really good idea, why didn't I pick that one? And then somebody else put one, oh, that's a really good idea. So last night, I thought of something which gets my blood boiling. Quite a lot of things do that. And that's this, which I got drawn by an artist yesterday. Didn't just write on a bit of paper. It's also to do with rule books, specifically.
Yes.
But it's also to do with gender equality in games. And on the internet, there's a lot of women who raise this point. So it might be unusual for a man to be raising this point. But it makes me really, really uncomfortable when I'm sat there with 3 friends, one of which is a woman, and I'm reading a rule book and saying, a player picks up his deck of cards. I can't do that. It just makes me feel really uncomfortable. So what I have to do is I have to translate it. So while I'm reading the rule book, I don't say what's in the rule book. I say each player will pick up their deck of cards. I have to do that when reading the rule book. Now, some publishers go the opposite direction and write everything with she and her, which makes me feel really uncomfortable when I'm sat there playing a game with 3 male friends. It's just wrong. Every rulebook I'm involved in is gender neutral. I don't use him or her or anything like that unless it's an example. Some publishers do this. A lot of publishers who I now work with didn't used to do this. They now do because I insist on it. And other publishers don't bother. One of the things that I hear a lot is, well, it doesn't bother me. That's fine. If it doesn't bother you, great, it doesn't bother you. But the point is, it bothers some people. So therefore, I think all rule books should be gender neutral. Again, it's another one which, if you disagree with it, then you should go in the box as well, I think. But I honestly would like to know if anybody disagrees with it, apart from well, it doesn't bother me, so it's okay. I don't think it's okay.
No. Heaven forbid that other girls play games, but that would just be outrageous.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I didn't know whether to expand this into gender neutrality in all games. Somebody posted a question on Twitter last night saying there are 20 characters in the game, how many should be female? How many should be female?
20. Little Simon cards.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah. You know, a lot of games, Robinson Crusoe, all the characters, it's male on one side, female on the other side. Great. Why not do that? But there's games coming out, and there's been a few examples in the last year where Dead Last? Ring a bell? Got one female character, scantily clad, or something like that. It's just, why?
Kingdom Death Monster, that was...
Well, that's kind of over the top, isn't it?
Well,
Conan, where the only playable female character, well, it's not playable, can be passed around as an object and does nothing and wears... It's just... Yeah.
Don't draw me into it. I get into so much trouble getting drawn into these discussions.
Well, let's
get into the discussion later on. I'll be burnt at the stake. I was going to put in, and it's kind of a bit suicidal, I was going to put board game social media into the box.
Was you?
Yes.
That was not on the list. Get back to your idea.
It was going to be the exposure die from Dead of
Yes,
Winter,
go with that.
which is
Stick
horrible.
with that.
But board game social media. I mean, in the last couple of months, I'm on numerous Facebook groups. There's been all sorts of kerfuffles. There was literally a kerfuffle the other day over the true meaning of the word raffle.
What?
Someone was trying to just. Yes.
I saw the end of
You
that.
saw
I was
that?
only winning.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that one.
It's a bun fight over the word raffle and how it was used properly. The guy just wanted to give away a game. And I mean, 100 years from now, you know, all the documentation that the aliens when they land, or avian overlords when they come here, they're only going to be able to look at Facebook and that. There's no written documentation, and they're going to find this petty squabble between raffle and he said, she said, and I don't like minis and games. I mean, that's what it's going to be. That's not good.
It's the pinnacle of human society. Right?
They're going to go, what happened in the thousands? Let's have a look. Oh dear. Obviously they're brought about war. So yes, board game social media. What? It's just like an entitlement-filled bunch of nuts. I'm moving on quickly.
Yes. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got in here.
Props.
Yes.
Are they as good as,
If
are they
that's
as
a
good as my
hit-
props?
Yeah.
Moving on.
This seems.
That's why
Is
it is
it-
heads there.
Is it an actual two?
Well, that was what I was
It is
going
not
to
a
say. That's
secret.
the tissue for all
No,
the
it
tears
is
shed.
Machikoro.
Oh yeah, that can go.
So
that can
the
go
reason
straight away.
I've got Machikoro is because
Straight
of
in.
oversized boxes. Because the box is this
Do you want me to
size.
help you, Mike?
Yeah,
With your
you can
box?
open that.
Let me do that.
The box is this size,
Oh, no fun.
and the game is basically that size. It is absolutely ridiculous. There is a couple of dice in there as well.
And a bag.
And this does include the expansion
You forgot
as
about
well.
these cards
This
as
is
well.
how- This is how ridiculous it is. So this is probably the worst example I've seen, but there are
I've seen
definitely plenty of other examples. And there's no real excuse. All it's going to do is take up more space in stores, so it's costing stores money. It's going to take up more warehouse space, and it's going to take up more space on my shelf, which I don't want.
And costs more money to make because it uses more resources.
Yeah, I really think
All those expansions
Oversized-
you get in there. Look at that.
have the expansion come with the bigger box. That's really the answer, because if you get this, it's just you open it up and you're just disappointed. The second you open this box, you're like, oh, where's the rest of the game? That's your immediate thought.
So
that's
I'm
fine.
not condoning
Oversized
it,
boxes,
but
yeah.
when we come to the discussion later on, I can tell you 2 reasons why boxes are bigger than they need to be, from an
Okay.
industry point of view.
Standardised.
I'm not saying I agree with
That's
it.
not standardised.
No, that's not standardised.
So, look,
Didn't realise we were going up against each other, so this idea is not going to be as great as everyone else's, but that representation, not Star Wars Destiny. Star Wars Destiny is fine. It's the model it's based on. This whole dated thing that grew old by the 1990s of the CCG collectible card game or collectible whatever model. This whole thing of, here, I've already given you a bunch of cash for my starter set with about 10 cards and 1 die or something in it. And then if you want to get the cool characters you want, you know, I'm not just banging on Star Wars, I mean, it's all of them, but if you want this cool character, then give us like £3-4 for another 6 cards. You might get what you want, you don't know. Chances are you will literally just open it up and then be, you know, straight into a whirlwind of disappointment and general depression, as that overly powerful, super rare magic card that you were desperate for your next tournament or something isn't in that booster, and another £20 later of your pocket money or you know, whatever job earnings there, and you still don't have the card you want. So you go to the secondary market and decide, oh yeah, you know, go on eBay, I can find the card there. You know, yes, Vader Force Choke, done. £25 for the card.
Gonna have to heckle.
Go for it.
You can try. Yeah, so
Where's your heart? Where's that's like the Christmas morning excitement. You get that packet, and it's like Schrodinger's card, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be anything in it.
yeah, but,
Yeah, but it's
you have
like-
the disappointment.
yeah, but it's like being a
not what
5.
you want.
Yeah, but when you're a 5-year-old looking under the tree at Christmas and that, if it's not the Micro Machines playset you asked for or something, what do? You cry your eyes out and you hate Christmas.
I think we've touched on
This is going back to a very troubled childhood.
Yeah, you speak to my children again.
No, this was last Christmas.
Yeah, last Christmas. I wanted that Micro Machines firefighting set. Come on.
I just, we're going to get to it.
It was all right in the 90s, but the LCG model, even though it does cost a bit of money, at least you can choose what you're going to pay for and know what you're going to get. It's replaced this module, Ashes, Phoenix Born, starter sets.
There is
and that.
one thing that you do lose by moving to the LCG model from the CCG model, which is trading.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love that trading and the collectible nature, which you lose because everyone has everything.
Well, then everyone's on a level playing field at that point. The trading aspect, yeah, okay, but then how much money is just exchanged hands with the trader? Because it's never just, I'll give you this one card for this card. It will be like, I'll give you these 2 cards and here's 30 quid and you know what, here's the keys to my house while I'm at it. Give me that, just give me that Black Lotus, I need it now. It's all right in the 90s, but...
Isn't it a bit boring? Everyone's the same with an LCG. There's no one...
Yeah, but then nobody's got because you get power creep with CCGs as well. Where like, the next set of cards is out. By the way, everything you just bought is now redundant because it's all completely whitewashed by the cell alone. And even then, like, how often do these packs come out? Is like every, a new range of boosters. We're already getting the second one of Awakening coming out. And they're saying, we're not going to bother reprinting the first set or something, wasn't it?
That's a weird business model, FFG
Yeah.
now. We've got a collectible card game, but we're not going to print it.
Yeah, you wait for the secondary. You wait for the secondary market to explode when this one says it's not being printed. It's like
So we're going to go back to Rob's people.
Yes.
People.
People.
Do we have to vote on one of the 9?
Can I have a plead? One last plead before I vote? So because, obviously we're all grown-ups. And we are? Well, on the outside.
We're all playing games for a weekend.
But that's what I mean. In a weekday, my gaming session on a Thursday night is from 6 to 10:30. For every idiot that interferes with a minute in that time, that's something I should be. I've got ironing to do. Bathroom to clean. I'd rather be doing that than playing Alchemist with moody people who. Yeah.
Hopefully mine speaks for itself. A bad rulebook can put you off a game. You're supposed to be inviting and teaching somebody how to play the game, and also to be able to teach other people how to play that game. A bad rulebook does not allow you to do that. And without a rulebook, you can't play the game. So why are we all here? You need a good rulebook. And it should be interesting and fun. It'll have lots of nice pictures.
You didn't realise you'd probably take Paul out of a job though if you
I
get
did
rid of
say
all bad rulebooks.
With 800 or 900 games coming out a year, I think I'm okay. So, bad rulebooks. Anybody got any examples of rulebooks for games they got recently where they could not work out how to play the game?
Myth.
Conan. Yeah. So Myth, Conan, Martians, Cottage Garden.
What was difficult about Cottage Garden?
There's 3 different rulebooks apparently.
Yeah, the first one that came from Essence, terrible.
Yeah.
Got stickers in it.
Yeah.
It's like a legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah, it's a legacy.
The Guardian that changes over time.
What's this like
That's
those
a scavenging
collectible
way to go.
football sticker things like got, one.
So has anybody got any other games? Because we know the big ones that we've all mentioned. Is there any other ones out there?
Cavern Tavern has its moments. It's
Okay.
not dreadful, but there are a few badly worded things in it.
Kanban Automotive Revolution wasn't great until they put the FAQ online. So that was another.
But I mean really, really bad. So we know there's really, really bad ones. Then there's ones that could do with a bit of work. They're awful, they're unforgivable. Martians for me is a game I never want to play. Doesn't matter how good the game is. I don't want to support a company that did what they did. They don't deserve my time. That's the way I see it. When you actually look, I'm going to slag them off here really, really probably. They're not one of my clients. They could become one of my clients, but I'm going to say it anyway.
No, they're not.
Well, no, I've actually gained 2 of my clients by telling them how bad their rulebooks are. So it's worked. But what was shocking about that is that they put their rulebook online during the Kickstarter, or so after it finished, and the fans and the people who backed it and paid their money read through it and pointed out what bits were not clear, and they helped out. The community really got together and helped out. 2 months later, they printed the original rulebook. They did nothing at all with all of that information they got. Now, these people are probably doing it as part-time. They're not full-time games people, and we all have limited time. But they took lots and lots of people's money. And as a backer on Kickstarter, or even if you're just buying a game from a shop, I expect a certain level of something,
No, I agree.
and it wasn't there with that game.
No, it was terrible. I mean, they released the game. This is how bad it was. They actually released an errata. Sorry, they actually released an errata and an FAQ with the game when it turned up. So there's the rule book, an FAQ, an errata, and even then, it still didn't make sense. It was just dreadful. I actually quite liked the game. Now I've gone through it, but the rulebook is just inexcusable. I mean, I think one of the biggest drivers was actually they wanted to release it for Essen, as you say, which, okay, you can kind of see the point, but to be honest, I think for the community, you'd rather a nicely finished, polished product that they spend a few more months on so that you can actually understand what the hell they're trying to tell you, than just rush it out, cash in on a few sales, you know, a big game event, which, you know, from a commercial point of view, sort of makes sense, but to be honest, you know, annoying 90% of your clientele is not a good business strategy. So yeah, I can. It's just dreadful. It really is just so badly worded. I mean, my girlfriend's gone through it, gone, Andy, the rulebook can't be that bad. Give me that here. Oh my God, this is awful. Paul warned me ahead of time, having just sort of waiting for this thing to turn up. He said, Andy, the rulebook's really bad. And I thought, I can't be that bad, Paul. Come on. I know you're a professional rulebook writer, but come on. Oh God, it's worse. Oh God. No, he's right. Now listen to the profession. So what do we reckon? In or out? In. Yes. Yes. There we go. There's an example of a terrible game going into 101.
Oh, game now. Is it you? Hey.
Well, all right. A box of congealed failure. There we go. Is it that way up? Sorry.
Well, just so.
Oh, we can see.
Can
Can we put it in front of Mike's face to see that beautiful groomed beard there?
Is Mike one of the 9 people that was mentioned earlier? Was it?
Are we going with people as well? We haven't voted on people
We haven't
yet.
got any people yet.
No. You're going to fit in there?
Can we ask the audience if they've got any examples of anybody that falls into any of the categories that Rob mentioned?
Yeah.
Never met anybody like that whatsoever.
Because at the moment, it just seems that they all hang around with him. So it's,
There is one category you did forget.
What?
Really bad winners. People like me.
well, the bad winner, the sore loser.
If they're
Yeah.
not listening to the rules and being on their phone.
Yeah, that's a
I'm not
terrible
bothered
terrible.
about on the phone, because you can be on your phone and listen.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm not convinced by that one.
No.
well,
Bad listeners.
I'll be putting myself in.
But the Alchemist one, that's surprising. But, you know, has anybody got any other examples of things like that where somebody did something that was just, what? I mean, I would never play games with that person again.
No, he's number one on the
Right,
list.
you won't play with that
No.
person.
We have one regularly who we're trying to explain the rules to, and they're rather trying to focus on something else, like what does this do, what does this do? It's like, look, listen to this bit, listen to this bit. We were playing Game of Thrones. Steve, my boss, as it were, was trying to explain how to play the rules and say, right, listen to this bit, it's really important, it's all about the combat, so you've got the blood and the damage and all this sort of stuff and the defence and all that how it works. Guess what happened the first time somebody did combat? How does this work again? So yeah, some people, maybe not all people, because let's be honest, without people, you're not going to play a board game.
Play Friday.
Yeah, to be fair, if that's the worst thing you've come across from people in Game of Thrones, you've done pretty well.
I've only played it once.
I can admit to being grumpy sometimes. We played until 1 in the morning once for the game, which took on absolutely forever, and then something happened that meant that my character just lost everything. And I was really tired.
Well, you played Talisman.
Fury of Dracula. Fury of Dracula. And that was enough.
It was
That
that
done.
close to the table flip.
I didn't flip the table. I just didn't
Not
want to
quite.
play anymore. And it was 5 hours in at this point. I feel like, you know, I didn't really like you anymore.
Do you know what made it worse? I was trying to win as well.
So twice a year I host a 4-day gaming event at Gaming Rules headquarters. And at,
Yeah, so
at the last one, yeah, it's just me and the cat. At the last one, 6 people sat down to play Game of Thrones, and they all spoke to each other beforehand. Some of them had played before, some hadn't, and they said, look, this game is about backstabbing and lying and being nasty and everything else. What happens in the game stays in the game,
Oh, let's see where this goes.
okay?
It's going to end well,
And they played game 1, and they were over in like 2.5, 3 hours or something crazy. Now, last time I played it was like 8 hours. So anyway, so they said, we enjoyed that so much, we're going to play it again. Now, during that game, Baratheon and Stark had had some kind of altercation and the players were arguing, but it was all in-game, it was all absolutely fine. Then they went to set up the next game, and of course they changed the roles around and everything else. And then basically the 2 people that were now Baratheon and Stark went, right, not going to let that happen, so this, that and the other, blah, blah, blah. One guy didn't like that, left, went home. This was on the Saturday evening. So yeah,
Harsh.
it's harsh, but I wasn't there, but friendships were affected. Because it's not an open invite to my house. It's like 30 people who I specifically invite round, and it was a difficult situation. But it was taking something that happened in a game and just taking it outside the game and saying, right, that's a personal insult against me or something like that. It was all a bit weird, and I wasn't there. Anyway,
It was me.
it wasn't you. You weren't there.
No, I wasn't there.
So anyway, rule books. So hands up. Who is bothered when they see a player picks up his deck of cards in a rule book? And you don't all have to put your hands up. I generally want to know who it bothers.
I'm there.
So not even half the people? Okay. And if you read a player picks up her deck of cards, would that bother you?
Well,
Same people. Yeah, I just wanted to see if some of the people who wanted it to say his. So yeah, I think he's going in there, and I will try to work with as many publishers as I can. One of my fears is that I start working with a new publisher and they say, no, that's our style.
The thing is, there's no reason for it not to be gender neutral.
That's my point. I have to go through and I have to spend my time changing it all. If it was written with their in the original case, it would take me less time.
Yeah.
Like,
There's no one who's going to be affected
dictators
seeing
in place
gender
of
neutral.
That'd be interesting.
Adolf moves his piece to the third.
So Dan
I
has
was gonna
done
say, there
this.
is one possible exception to that, is if you're giving an example
Examples.
of playtime and say, right, Alice, Bob, Catherine and Dave are playing, Alice moves her piece. That's
Yeah.
fair enough.
That's
Because you've
the
given an
only time I do it.
example,
So
yeah,
in
absolutely.
example text, I always try to use names of real people. What the publishers don't know is that I choose names of people that I know, and then I send them a message to say, you're in this rule book. So they don't know that I'm doing that. They just think I'm picking random names. Actually, I'm not. I'm actually going through people I know and putting them in rule books as
Microphone's an
examples.
illegal manoeuvre.
Maybe we need
But
to
back to the
invent an endurance, that's sort of like a name that covers all the bases.
We could do.
Flappy.
We could do. No, some rule books do the green player or green does this or something like that. But I try to put people's names in examples. Over the last couple of years, there has been a shift in American what's allowed and what's not allowed, and the use of the word they or their is apparently now, according to some other rulebook writers in America, accepted in the singular form. I've always used it, but I can perfectly see how it can easily be mistaken for the plural form. But it's now acceptable that the player picks up their cards.
Now you're getting to grab
Is fine.
I was about to be very
So-
insulting and detrimental to American cousins and say, well, they've actually learned to speak English now.
Yes. Well, some of them. Yeah. Some of them. So anyway, so I'm going to put it in there.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me know.
Whether you like it or not.
Anybody disagree?
Does anyone object?
Only
It's
if
not something you can object to, but do you feel neutral about it?
I think a lot of people feel neutral about it. I think the show of hands went that less than 50% of the audience were bothered by it. But like I said at the start, that's not the point. The point is other people are bothered by it. Therefore, publishers have an obligation to make sure they're not upsetting this group of people. Well, me.
Paul doesn't like it, it's going in.
Yes.
It's good enough for me.
Okay. So it's not going in because this is the explanation of the weapons in adrenaline, which I need later on.
So that looks
Putting that in as well.
like a game that you've recently shown off.
That was me, isn't it?
It's only
What
you.
was I? Oh, it's Paul Game social media, I said. Oh, there's
No, it
hands up.
wasn't, it was your exposure die, remember?
I say that often when I'm gaming, I'm not great at reading rules, so I often have them explained to me, and I've not really come across that.
Okay.
I think it might be because the people that have read them
They've
don't
done what I
did.
Yeah.
Could be.
So when I sort of say it doesn't bother me, it's probably because it's never
Right.
been raised.
You
Yeah.
probably sort of zone it out after a while though, because you're busy listening for that bit that's like, right, how many cards, and was it that action or something like that? You're not really paying attention to the grammar of the person who's speaking at that point.
Like there's
To
a
hear his turn,
semicolon in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Burn the game.
is that why the setup of your games takes forever? Because you're there busy like word counting the entire rulebook before you start.
I can't turn it off now. So I'm reading a rule book for the first time. And we're playing a game and I'm going through it and I'm going missing comma. And I just
We want to begin the game, Paul. You're just proofreading the rule book.
I proofread in restaurants when I go for a meal now. Looking at the menu, and Vicky says, "Have you decided what you want yet?" And I'm like, "No, but this font size," and I can't turn it off. It's not good. It's really not good.
This should be Helvetica. It's Times New Roman.
Paul, let again against theme. I saw a T-shirt the other day, and it had Helvetica written in a Times New Roman font. It was just
That's brilliant. I'm itching to say something.
Oh, we need to vote on people.
We do.
Oh,
We're getting distracted.
Put them in Game Room 101, turn off the light.
Some of them.
And the oxygen.
That's the thing, you're targeting very specific people. Some of them.
Yeah.
And most of them hang around in your game.
I think if we kind of summarise it as people who are annoying, I think that's kind of safe to put in there.
Dickheads.
Not even game related, that's just general.
Sorry, Luke.
No, go for it. I'm not saying don't put it in.
No, you're going in.
Yeah, we'll change it to Luke.
Yeah.
You already done that on the spreadsheet for ages. It's all
Let's carry on this bandwagon.
just because he can change which one he's talking about doesn't mean you can change that again.
So it's people gone in, have they? Some of them have.
Some of them.
Bigger box. They're clinging onto the edge, I think.
Yeah.
Was that Wilhelm scream thing we need?
I don't think you can, because annoying people make you realise how good you are as a person.
But I'm
So
not.
you need that benchmark to be able to say, I'm much better than that person.
I'm
The
terrible.
Ark on the Ivory Tower.
You need other people to serve as a warning to others, basically.
Yeah. Don't do what he does.
Yeah. So you need bad gamers. You need them.
Well, I am one.
There you go. Get him.
I don't listen to rules explanations, I'm on my phone. That's why I didn't put that one on the list.
So you're basically undermining your own arguments. You're definitely not going in for that.
Shocking.
People.
People.
On social media.
People on social media, yeah. So the tissue of 1,000 tiers of people who just feel they're hard done by. I spent hours on the internet getting angry at it because it's full of people being angry. I can't just walk away and leave it, can I?
Is it? How do you publicise your blog?
On social media.
The big issue for all of us here.
I'm excused from this, but definitely you can't go on them anymore.
I've gone there fine.
Mike, I don't know if you read XKCD.
That was a misunderstanding.
It's a cartoon for people who like maths and logic and science and things. And there was one fantastic frame from that. And there's this Stickman cartoon. There's an off frame. There's are you coming to bed? I can't. Someone is wrong on the internet.
And I have that on my wall next to my computer. It's absolutely brilliant. So when you say social media, I think what you mean
Things like
is people discussing.
it's just people discussing utter rubbish.
What's the definition of worker placement?
Yeah, just angry.
I've had that argument for 4 years. I'm still right, but some people just won't listen. But it's talking about things, as you said, the definition of the word raffle. Or,
The raffle, the
or-
raffle thing. Things like that. It's perfectly sensible, and then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, that debate is still going on, and someone's dead. Someone else is, you're going.
I don't
What?
like the price of a game.
Yeah.
You don't buy it then.
I'm not going to buy this because it has this and it's horrible. And then you go, okay, fine. And then, no, I'm not finished. Okay.
Can we talk about something other than Rising Sun? I was like, well, how about you begin?
Yeah.
Starts us off,
So people who are on Facebook groups or anything, and who have conversations about things which are really
Nonsense.
not that.
Just nonsense.
So it's kind of like annoying people again, in a sense.
Well, yeah, kind of, but I can't help it. I'm
annoying
drawn to
people.
it. I have to watch it.
Trolls. That's
It's
what you're
wasting my time. I could be doing something important with it.
That's what you're Trolls, that's what you're trying to put in.
Trolls.
Trolls are deliberate though.
Yeah,
There's an act
sure.
of malice with it. These are just stupid people.
Yeah,
Trolls aren't that intelligent.
I troll loads of formats, so no, they're not going in.
But what about the dice in
The
Dead of Winter?
the exposure dice.
The exposure dice in Dead of Winter, the thing we were supposed to be discussing.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I thought about it, but then actually I quite like that dice.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't have that game without that die.
No.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
that,
you
that
can.
1 in 12
You
chance
can't.
is 9 times out of 10.
There's the dice. There's a dice in Dead of Winter, and then there's a little doggy, and I like the doggy as well.
Doggy should be gone. Doggy should be in there.
Sparky the Wonder Dog's brilliant.
Yeah.
Should be in there.
Even the guitar and some night vision goggles. He's brilliant.
Fantastic.
So I don't like dice in games. I normally play Euro games with a low look element.
I'm sorry.
Unless they're Stefan Feld games because he uses dice in a clever way. Anyway, Dead of Winter, I don't like Dead of Winter because I don't like the co-op, semi-co-op with the hidden goal. Oh, we won. Oh no, but you didn't win because you didn't collect 3 books. That for me is nonsense. The exposure die, I think, absolutely is brilliant.
Yep.
I agree.
Because you go outside, there's a 1 in 12 chance you die.
Yep.
The game needs that. It
Perfect.
adds to the tension, it adds to the theme. The problem with the game is when you start with 2 characters and somebody on turn 1 loses a character and then somebody else gets 4 characters and they're, you know, they're not enjoying the game as much as they could because they're not doing very much. That's a slight problem, but for somebody who doesn't like dice, I wouldn't change that in Dead of Winter at all.
Oh, there's a statement.
Blimey.
So, because the fact you have to roll it like every time you do anything in that
Yep.
game.
And it's thematically
You
everything
can't
do.
literally can't step outside the door without having to roll for frostbite exposure. Yet somehow you can find a horse, you know, inside in one of the item decks that
Yeah.
apparently has survived the depths of cold winter.
Yeah, and guns teleport. Weapons teleport from one location to another magically, but you know, we'll forget those things.
It's representation and metaphorical. It even says that in the rulebook, actually. Yeah, see?
Terrible rule.
Clearly has not been proofread by Paul.
To you.
Okay, so which one are you actually sticking in now?
So don't we need to vote first?
So are we going to put? Yeah, are we going to put social media mayhem into there?
No.
Raffle into there.
I think it does too much good.
There is a
We need social media.
In the same way, in the same way,
Pointless discussions don't do any good.
no, but in the same way, the stupid people are a smaller amount than the good people you get to play with.
Yeah,
But
you,
then
And
noisy.
I'd say the big issue is
Yeah.
censorship there. You're starting to say what people can and can't say on those platforms, which isn't necessarily fair, as long as they're not
Well, I
harming
want
anyone.
a dictatorship on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
that doesn't mean that that's coming to power.
I'm just going to remove Michael from the UK Facebook group. There you go.
I'm sure a lot of people learned all about raffles that day.
I'm still confused. Just I'm not quite one on Facebook and tell that much.
There is something to be said for a fascist dictatorship, but we are supposed to be an inclusive community, so I don't think you can go in, Mike.
All right then.
And neither
We
goes exposure.
want to bring new people into the hobby, except you, and you.
Yeah, you lot can't come in.
Yeah.
We don't like you three.
Okay, so oversized boxes. I mean, Paul, you said you had a reason
two
for
reasons.
these.
Two reasons.
Okay, go on.
The first one is that the first 4 expansions for the game have already been planned, created and designed, but
Yep.
the publisher has decided to release them bit by bit in order to get more money. So what they do is they print in a box size where you will get everything in. That's one reason. And the other reason is actually, well, I found it interesting, it's probably really boring, but different countries and shelf presence. It's different in Germany. In Germany, you can have lots and lots of little games that are this big, and they'll be absolutely fine. You go to Essen, and you see the stalls selling all the little card games. They're all in tiny little boxes. They're fine. America, no chance. Has to be that size, or maybe a bit smaller. Otherwise, in America, it wouldn't sell. So it's, and some publishers even do different box sizes. Depends on what country they're publishing it in. So when you're a publisher, if you can get a game that fits in a box half that size, sometimes you might not even want to do that because it would just disappear on the shelf.
But as a consumer,
It
what
annoys
is
the
your
hell
thoughts?
out of me.
Exactly. So it deserves
Absolutely.
to go in.
I'm not saying I don't agree with it, I'm just letting you know,
publishers'
because you said earlier on there's no excuse for it, and I'm letting you know the reasons why.
that they have their
There's a third
reasons,
reason.
and it comes
There is a
down to
third
money.
There's a third reason. Small City by Alban Viard. If anybody's got a copy of it, it's
Heard of it?
hilarious.
It's massive.
Big box.
Yeah.
Big box. Is it filled with stuff? No.
Hints in the name, though, surely.
Yeah.
Well, so Small City is a game that probably would fit in a box a little bit bigger than that, and it's in a huge box. And the reason it's in a huge box is there was some miscommunication about the punch boards. So the punch boards had to be like A3, which means the box has to be A3. What annoys me is slightly non-standard box sizes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
That's awful.
You got all your things on the shelf, and then you got one that's like
one
5
one
mil,
out.
just big.
Robo
Oh.
Rally.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit in a Kallax. Everything else fits in a Kallax. Robo
Tin
Rally.
boxes?
No.
always a
5 mil! 5 mil! It's really annoying.
Dragon and Flagon. Because it looks square, but it isn't. It's just a little bit wide. You have to put the box a
Is
little bit
Kanban
wide.
look square but isn't? I think.
Yeah, it's slightly, it's not too bad.
No, but
That's
it
strong,
looks
that's
strong.
strong.
It's Monocle then, isn't it?
Monocle.
Monocle goes in there.
It's more the giant ones here. Funny, that date of the sentence actually, that whopping great big square box. Yeah, it's like, fit that on any shelf, let alone a Capex.
But when I'm sneaking in the house and the wife catches me with a box of games, and I've just spent a lot of money on it, at least I can say, look at this.
It's a big
I'm not wasting my money.
But
Look
what
at this big
happens
box.
when you then open the box
No,
and
we
she
don't
sees
open the
how...
Or we quickly scoof some other contents into it. But no, think of it that way.
I don't have that problem, luckily.
And then you get Gloomhaven, where you actually need another box to put everything.
Gloomhaven's what we're talking about.
We can only talk about it once people can actually get it.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That should be fair.
Man, that's a question.
I have a question. Is the Machikoro Deluxe version in a smaller box?
Yes.
Slightly, yeah.
It's in a tin.
It's in a tin.
It fits quite well.
Tins.
They don't stack.
They don't stack. They break easily, particularly in the post.
It does look nice though. They do stack with other tins.
Tins of the
All of which there are how many more? Forbidden Desert. That's about
The
it.
different size tins, the non-standard.
Different country, different tins.
It's not good. You have to
Anybody else got any other good examples of oversized boxes of games?
Splendor.
Splendor.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not.
I saw a picture. Somebody had
Yeah.
taken out the insert of Splendor and showed the
Yeah.
box of Splendor, and it literally fits into the bottom inch.
But at least
90%
with
of
the
the box.
insert, it fits really nicely.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
you put it on its side, nothing falls out.
Right.
Pandemic.
But surely that. But then does that fall out?
Yeah, there's
Yes.
nothing in the box. You fit it in half the size. Presumably they've
Legendary
stuck to the same
encounters.
size as the
How
actual
many cards?
pandemic box.
Right.
Presumably, obviously, for economy.
Yeah,
of
but
scale.
that's the problem with
So
deck builders.
There's nothing in
Yeah.
it.
Any other big ones that anybody knows about?
I've got the opposite one, Rocker Town, or Rocker Rail to all that.
Too small?
Too small.
Okay.
I keep knocking off because it's so small, you can fit it in your gaps that you get on Calax. And it just like falls down the back all the time.
Okay.
Do you want a game of Rocker? No, no.
That does tend to be a problem. Actually, I've noticed this with some of the Kickstarter ones, particularly Cool Mini or Not, and a couple of others who. So here's this giant box with all the stuff you're going to get into it, and here's all these Kickstarter exclusives and stretch goals that we've thrown in, and the box doesn't get any bigger.
Yeah.
So you end up with all these things in the post. Here's your original game, and you can't fit the new stuff in there because they didn't bother to extend the box size.
That doesn't jump up and down.
Core Mini are not definitely the worst for that, aren't they?
I don't like game boxes that don't actually fit the basic content either. And they don't travel well. 5 drives is really bad for this. If you stick it on its side, everything just falls out everywhere.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Or everything just goes over. Pandemic, once you've got On the Brink and in Lab, you put it on its side, all the cards go everywhere. You open the box, it's a mess. It's horrible.
That's when they don't actually give you an insert. They just literally go, like,
This has
here's a
got an
box for the
insert.
content.
No, these have got inserts. They just don't fit.
They're just not great inside.
There's a hotel room in Germany which every year gets filled with inserts. Because that's the first thing I do when I buy a game at Essen is take out the insert, it's in the bin.
You're
For a
not-
minute there, I thought there was some strange party going on. I was missing out.
Yeah, get the cultists round, worship the inserts.
Come to Paul's insert party.
Oh yes.
Paul's insert this here part.
Bring it over. I don't know whether to vote them in. I personally dislike them, and there's nothing worse than buying the game. You see the box and you get it home, and yeah, I vote to put them in, even though I know the reasons why.
Okay, so anyone else going to vote?
I
Anyone
think it
care?
should go in. I haven't got enough shelf space for these ones.
Yeah, shelf
Yeah.
space is becoming a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in.
Okay,
It's in.
so
It's
Fines. Oh, there you
There
go.
Done it.
Hooray.
Probably won't fit. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Just about fit.
Then back to the 50-50 discussion, because I didn't want to pick one that was blatantly obvious sort of go in. You know, if anybody here loves bad rule books, then seriously, why? But
It's already in.
yeah, exactly. It's already in. But I know that there are some people that adore the whole CCG aspect, so I'm interested to hear this.
I spent a large amount of money and many years in the 90s playing Magic the Gathering and completely destroyed every other type of gaming that I did. I absolutely get the appeal of opening a pack and not knowing what you're going to get. That is what people got in America with baseball cards, which is where the original idea came from. There's a buzz there is a certain chemical that gets released in the brain, I think, when you open it. But you also have the, oh, I just spent 20 quid and I got nothing new.
It's just like betting, basically. So
It
that's
is.
what
It's
you're doing.
it's
You are
gambling. It's the same.
yeah.
It's whatever the chemical is, if anybody knows. But it is that. So I can understand why publishers do it. When Fantasy Flight announced they were going collectible for that, I was surprised. I don't know why. It seems a completely opposite direction.
In the 90s though, it wasn't as easy to get the information for what cards could you get in this set. You know, there was a lot more of that hidden thing. I mean, I've done Magic, Star Wars Decipher, Agent Predator, even Young Jedi Pokemon and all that. I've done all sorts of card games back then, and you didn't necessarily know what the cards were. So it's like, ooh, there's a rare and I've never seen it before. These days though, as soon as a new set comes out, you guarantee that everybody who plays the game has already researched on the internet what cards are going to come out, already seen spoilers for the cards. So they're not really...
Gone out and bought 100 booster packs to make sure that they've got every card.
Yeah, so there's no shock in opening the booster anymore. It's just, I've bought the booster box and I just want to make certain I get those ultra rares that I need.
Well, surely this just comes down to the fact that I've got more money than you, therefore I can buy more stuff and I'm going to win.
CCGs do have that
discussion.
that
I hate it. I think it's a really, really bad practice.
Well, okay, I think Paul had said like, yeah, well, you're on an equal playing field, you know, with LCGs and things like that. Fair enough if that's not as exciting, but then at least you are on that level playing field. It's not pay to win.
Yeah. See, I'm more on board with that.
The CCG is basically the equivalent of an iPad MOBA game or something, you know, mobile game.
CCGs now, get them in.
Means of that. LCGs have come out.
We've got the card man here.
They're certainly LCGs. I mean, they may not be a perfect model, but I still much prefer them to a CCG. And it's just, you know, we can go one step further. Although to be honest, I don't know why companies can't just simply do the whole like what Plaid Hat actually did this better. You know, here's your giant master set with a ton of stuff in it. You know, it may cost a bit more, but you'll buy it and it'll be a one-off. And then occasionally, here's a new faction or here's a new pack. You know, some of the wars did it well, Ashes did it well.
I mean, that basically is the LCG model. Just
not Fantasy Flight, sort of like, you know, literally off the conveyor belt faster than you can play it.
They just release them too frequently. Is the problem.
Let us milk this cow until its teats dry up. Yes.
You know.
So who here plays any CCGs?
Not me anymore.
Magic?
There's got to be a Magic player here.
Yeah.
Hearthstone. Oh yeah, Hearthstone.
Hearthstone's brilliant. Physical ones? Anybody play any physical CCGs?
But then saying that, does Hearthstone require you to pay online to buy the boosters?
So I've been playing Hearthstone almost since it came out.
You have the option to, I think, don't you?
And I think I spent £2 when it came out to get some promo card I never used. And I've been playing it almost every day of my life for about, 3 years is it? It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and it's not cost me anything other than that £2. That was optional.
So what new stuff did you get? Did you win it or just
So
get it by
you
playing
get
the game
daily
loads?
quests, you get gold, and the gold is enough to
playing that
buy
much.
adventure
But
packs.
is there the case
Not actually playing
of
Hearthstone,
people who
that's right.
have more money are doing better in that game because they are able to
Probably,
buy more
but
booster
there's
packs and
arenas
stuff.
which are like booster draft, completely random. So you know you're all getting the same random selection of cards. So I play them. There's the arenas that are really good and interesting, and I play them. Is it the arena? The thing that comes out on a Monday or Tuesday.
You've got the mic.
The constructed. Nah, I don't bother with that. You know. Yeah, but you progress the ranks. As long as I get to rank 20 at the end of the month, I'm fine. And that's actually dead easy to do.
It's more like, you know, I mean, I stopped doing CGs a long time ago, especially with that tournament scene in CGs. It's just horrific, not just for the whole pay-to-win thing, but
It's the high competitiveness, I think.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you want to put these people with the annoying people group or something? You know, basically tournament goers for CCGs, because this isn't just like, oh, we're going to have this nice game of Dice Masters. No, this is, I will destroy you. You know, it's like,
I used
and everyone understands.
In the late 90s, I used to be a DCI level 3 judge. So I was judging out Pro Tours and national championships, and I took part in the UK national. So I'm not saying I was one of the best players in the world, but I was part of a group of which some of the best players in the country were in.
You were like a groupie.
No.
He was like
I
with
was
the band.
in the group.
You know, yeah, it should be on the list. Paul.
So because we had so many cards between us, it was like, right, we're going to the UK Nationals. I'm going to take this deck. Who's got what cards? And we actually didn't need to go out and buy huge amounts of cards that an individual would, because we had them within
Yeah, because with LCG ones, I mean, yeah, you get the really competitive people doing like Netrunner and stuff like that, but because everyone's got the same cards, it comes down to an element of luck, but also the skill part. Dice Masters, when I started that one, there was only a few local ones playing it, but went to a store tournament and realised that every single player there had the same 3 ultra rares or something like that in their thing. They had a Xavier, a Widow, or whatever, and stuff like that. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, you need to have these because they're just so important. It's like, and how much are they on eBay? Like, about £25 each. I was like, screw this. It almost killed Dice. It killed Dice Masters there.
Well, that's down to WizKids. What WizKids did with Dice Masters is the game was fine, but then they gave away these promo dice at special events, and these promo dice were like
Super
10
powerful.
times more powerful than anything else, to the point where every single competitive deck had exactly the same dice in it, and it destroyed the game.
But that's just an example of the whole power creep issue that CCGs have.
But this went to the extreme.
Before you vote, you've got waiting on whether that goes in.
Oh, right.
It depends which side you want.
A vote for ditching the CCG model is a vote to close your local game store.
Yep.
There is that.
Emotional blackmail.
Honestly, there is. I don't like CCG models, but I do accept there are some positives to it. Although, to be fair, I mean, an LCG can make a store a fair amount of cash. Not as much as a CCG, I admit.
Well, it's the hosting Magic Evenings where everybody has to buy 3 boosters and then do the thing. For me, playing Magic the Gathering at a competitive level, booster draft was fantastic. You can't do that with any LCGs. It's removed a part of.
Yeah, I think
Booster drafts aren't too bad actually in CCGs. I mean, those ones, but they're not done as often. It's usually, like you say, they're constructed in terms of words. But so far, the only positive aspect of a CCG is the commercialism aspect from a company's perspective.
That's the thing. I mean, you've just basically proven my point that more money wins the game. I mean, it's great to support these shops, of course it is, because it's a really good earning for them. But you've got lots of people buying lots of little things because they want to win the game. They spend more money, they win the game.
All their collectors.
I mean,
I was a collector as well.
But you need to get some extra revenue streams then. I mean, if literally every FLGS out there is saying the only reason I survive because of Magic the Gathering, then clearly the industry's got a huge problem. Not to mention the store needs to shape up a bit. But
there's nothing we can do about that. That's just how it is.
I think the thing about pay to play is I did that. I net decked. I bought 4 Airecon. I spent hundreds of pounds on the deck. I never won anything.
Yeah.
So it's not pay to win. It's
translation.
Still got to be good.
I can't let it go in. Think of every small child that's gone and bought a booster pack and opened it and got excited by it, and then they grow into the hobby.
One out of 20 times they get excited.
Still, there's 1 in 20, and they're like the little sort
They
of
at least
baby
have the
gamers going to
excitement.
grow
And
up.
they're all now
Then they're
homeless.
wondering why the parents are out of pocket. Why the kids can't eat nothing but baked beans for this week because Daddy spent all his money on Magic cards. It's like,
Yeah, but you can say the
Think
same
about
about
my
horse racing, football and smack. I have to admit, I've changed my position. I'm going to say no.
2 against.
one good point versus all the bad, and you're going to swear by
I
that.
was going to say yes, it should go in. But
Don't go siding with the sheep.
I'm not sure now.
Because
Just because a company gets a load of money.
If you don't like it, don't buy it.
If you don't like annoying people, don't play with those people.
We don't.
No.
Get out.
You don't like bad rule books, learn to write. I mean, what was it? You can basically say that for everything.
So that's a no.
No.
A no.
Can I abstain?
Mostly no.
Because I wanted to put them in, but I now.
No, you started with yes, stick with yes.
There's all these other things that I hadn't.
Mike, I know we have a differences, but come on.
No, LCG, you still spend as much money on an LCG. You'll just buy it all anyway, so it's just the same, but there's no magic there.
You can
It's
still
just
choose
like,
what you also know what you're getting though. It's not that I need this super card. I might spend £2, I might spend £200. It's more of a case of I need these cards. It's in this pack, it cost me 10 quid, done and dusted. Don't need to worry about more. And most of the core stuff that you get in an LCG is still used in most tournament decks. The Netrunner core set is brilliant for that. Most cards in that set are still useful in a tournament. It's not like, a CCG thing. I mean, how many times has the core set from Magic been reprinted? 100 times because those old cards are now out of date or not used.
Except on the Necro core set, they only gave you one.
I know, you had to buy 3.
When you've bought 3 boxes of it.
Yeah, that is a bad practice of Fantasy Flight. But
So they got you there as well. So I can't let it go in. I can't let it.
So I think I don't have to give my opinion.
No, you
So-
don't.
Well, steamroller.
well, I think the audience would what do the audience think? Come on.
What's the general?
Help me out here! Back me up!
I'd say it should go in, but I better not because I might get.
He doesn't. He's not the boss of you.
Well, we don't have many CCG players in the audience.
Well, they're probably all busy at a tournament.
Players of anything. All players of anything. Come on.
I grew up with like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yep.
And with Yu-Gi-Oh! I never bought a single card.
Okay.
And then
How'd you play it then?
Well, it's an individual.
The trading
Trading.
aspect is just great.
That's it.
Do you play in tournaments though?
Yeah.
But you didn't have that in my village, I'm sorry.
The thing is, I played like Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff, and I never played tournaments, so it was less of an issue. It was just the excitement of buying a new pack of cards and seeing what you got.
Go and do your mates.
But that said, I
How
would
often
never
does that
choose to
happen
play
now,
one
though?
now because there's such a money pit.
That's
That is the problem.
How often does that happen now, though, where it's just literally the 3 to 4 mates getting together and saying,
you're
"Here's our
forming-
starter,
you're
and we'll
forming a
occasionally
dead
buy a
horse.
booster." It doesn't happen like
That's
that
right,
in the modern
you're
world.
done. You're done. Drop.
Boss is here.
So I think basically it's not going in. Because we all want our game stores to
Spend all your money.
I think Star Wars Destiny should go in as a CCG.
That's probably worth money. It's rare now.
I was very disappointed to see that it wasn't an LCG.
Super. Thanks, guys. Should we give them a look? A big clap.